News Network, FNN News. I'm your host, Sibel. In recent news, the OLA has reported foiling a planned attack carried out by Prosperity Party troops located in Negele Borana, which resulted in 35 dead and over 50 injured. Meanwhile, the OLA stationed in eastern Walaga has reported encircling Nakamte, the capital of the East Walaga zone in western Oromia. And the OLA has also reported having captured a vehicle that belonged to government troops. We will show a short video clip of that vehicle that was captured. So again, that is a vehicle that was captured by the OLA that originally belonged to government troops. Moving on to other news, there have been reports of government forces shelling residential homes, government airstrikes that have injured civilians, including several children. We'll put up a graphic image here warning. So government troops have continued aerial bombardment of residential homes, which resulted in the killing of civilians in Wallo, and the government has also expanded airstrikes into Ebant, Kiramu in the eastern Walaga zones. And the government has also, additionally, some youth from Badano in the East Hararge zone and Daro Labu in the West Hararge zone have also reported a massive forced conscription carried out by the government. And the youth population from those areas have reportedly sustained beatings in some extreme cases, or even shooting when they refused to join the army. And there has been essentially an exodus of many youth who have been fleeing their homes to escape that forced recruitment. In other news, an alarming story that FNN News has obtained coming out of the city of Ambo, where several school children were reportedly injected with poisonous chemicals that they were told was a COVID-19 vaccine. And about 2 children immediately died, while several other children were taken to the hospital for treatment. In response to that incident, the International Oromo Women's Organization sent a letter to the World Health Organization requesting an urgent investigation into this very disturbing tragedy. And additionally, we're showing this letter here. The senior communication officer of the WHO's Ethiopian division that is receiving this letter, Loza Mesfin Tesfaye. This letter also mailed to that communication officer, questioning if the deaths could potentially be related to the ongoing political tension and turmoil in Oromia. And additionally, along with this letter came a list of the names of the 635 Oromos that have been killed in this violence from June of 2020 to the beginning of November in 2021. And this comes after the Ethiopian Federal Ministry of Health has launched a vaccination campaign that has targeted citizens 12 years old and above. The ministry has deployed, as of now, over 6.2 million doses with the support of the WHO in Ethiopia. And we're showing here a chart of COVID deaths and new infections in the country. So that's 9,015,832 doses now administered throughout the nation of Ethiopia. That's covering around 4% of the population, according to Reuters. However, luckily, COVID infections are decreasing throughout the nation, with about 144 average reported infections every day. In news on U.S.-Ethiopia relations, a new advisory statement that was released on Tuesday from the U.S. Embassy in Finfinne has urged U.S. citizens to depart the country immediately as the security situation continues to deteriorate. And this comes after an earlier statement from the U.S. Embassy that warned of the possibility of terrorist attacks released late last week, provoked outrage from many supporters of the Prosperity Party and the government. So we'll put up what that tweet looks like. It says that the department reminds U.S. citizens of the ongoing possibility of terrorist attacks in Ethiopia, and once again, strongly encouraging any U.S. citizens to maintain a high level of vigilance and avoid areas frequented by foreigners. So in response to this tweet and this announcement, Kebede Desisa, that's the state minister, told the Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation that the U.S. should stop propagating, quote, shameful fake news and defamation regarding Ethiopia. And then another comment that FNN has obtained from another government official in Ethiopia, criticizing this tweet, this announcement that was put up. This one here was posted to Facebook by another minister, Taye Dendea Aredo, and it is calling the U.S. Embassy a terrorist, accusing the U.S. of creating economic disturbance by blocking commercial mobilities. So here's that Facebook post right here, and it additionally adds here, now is enough. It is high time to say no, and we don't want Ethiopia to be another Libya or Iraq. Dear U.S. Embassy, kindly leave Ethiopia immediately and gradually Africa. And that's as the U.S. has gotten increasingly involved in conflicts in Ethiopia, with the ambassador to the Horn of Africa paying a visit, and also U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. That last, of course, referring to U.S. intervention in the toppling of both Saddam Hussein and Muammar Gaddafi. And meanwhile, this comes as U.S. troops have reportedly been positioned in Djibouti with the purpose of monitoring the situation in Ethiopia in case it changes. And 3 warships are also reportedly currently on standby to intervene. That's according to military officials. However, officials from the U.S. State Department have said that the U.S. does not currently have any plans to involve troops in the situation in Ethiopia. And one official told CNN, this is a direct quote, "There are no plans to fly the U.S. military into Ethiopia to facilitate evacuations or replicate the contingency efforts we recently undertook in Afghanistan, which was a unique situation for many reasons. We are always, of course, engaged in contingency planning for hypotheticals, but again, with the airports wide open, there's no reason for that at all." And that's an anonymous State Department official. And this comes after the State Department ordered the departure of non-emergency embassy staff from the U.S. Embassy in Ethiopia in Finfinne earlier this month, in early November. In news on Oromo political prisoners, Colonel Gamachu Ayana was finally arraigned in court in Sidist Kilo in Finfinne yesterday. And he heard the charges brought against him for the first time since he was previously detained, with no charges having been given as to why the government detained him. He had last appeared in court over 6 months ago, back in May, before security forces took him and 13 other leaders and members of the OLF to an undisclosed location, even though the court had dropped all of the charges against him. And a family member of Gamachu has told the Ada Standard that, quote, they filed an appeal against the charges the court dropped 6 months ago. So in the future, we will continue to bring you updates about the situation in Ethiopia as well as Oromia and the status of these political prisoners. Once again, thank you for watching Finfine News Network, FNN News, and I'm your host, Sibel.